It's my honor and my pleasure to share this podium with President of the European Parliament, Roberto Metsola, and my colleagues, Tomás Tobé and Fabián Keller, excusing those rapporteurs who couldn't make it, because we are coming right of the conclusion of a lengthy, extremely hard-working negotiation. For the last couple of days, I kept saying good evening, good morning, in continuation, non-stop, because we have not slept a wink in the last couple of days. 2 nights overnight, negotiating round the clock. And coming out of this negotiation being concluded, it is understandable that we are not here to lecture on the technical details, but to make a political assessment. And my political assessment is that, finally, we came to rules which are to be in place, binding for all the member states. So overcoming a situation which has been described not only as unsatisfactory, but untenable. A situation that we have seen so far, a sequence of action-reaction, no strategy, no far-sighted European scale of response. That means individual member states left on their own, European citizens crying out, "Where is Europe?" whenever they have seen themselves in such situations in dire straits. You talked of Malta, you come from an island that have seen it real tough. I come from an island too, the Canaries, who have seen it real tough. And I have heard that cry many times, where is Europe? Where is the European scale of response? We are putting it in place. We are building up a system. Not easy to negotiate hand in hand 5 regulations and, by the same token, getting back on track some pending files of the last mandate which resulted in failure. We're making a difference in this mandate because this mandate is not resulting in failure. We are putting up a system of regulations which are particularly binding for the member states. They are all intertwined. So let me just reassure you that we made the right choice by endorsing the package approach which we have combined with the Council. All the presidencies in a row in a roadmap, starting with the French presidency, and now the negotiation concluded under the Spanish presidency, but to be adopted through the next Belgian presidency in this mandate of the European Parliament. So, in this mandate, the outcome is not failure, it's success, because we are putting in place regulations combined all together. RAM, which is Regulation on Asylum Migration Management, APR, Asylum Procedures Regulation, Eurodac Screening, and the Crisis Regulation, which is the regulation of which I have been in charge. Crisis Regulation is a particularly effective scale of solidarity response. It enhances solidarity. In the Commission recommendation, it enhances solidarity, going beyond the fair share of individual member states and responding to the call of solidarity by a member state which faces some kind of a mass influx of arrivals into its external border. Combined with force majeure and the instrumentalization as an assumptions, we have put in place, first of all, solidarity mechanism, enhanced solidarity responses when a country sees itself in a crisis situation. Then prima facie international protection. That was a very strong point for the negotiating team of the European Parliament, so that member state could provide immediate protection to certain categories of vulnerable human beings. Prima facie international protection. Maybe because they're coming from a third country which deserves special attention, or because they fit into categories that have been set by the European Commission, and especially vulnerable, they are to be granted prima facie international protection. Then, of course, we have discussed derogations, and through the negotiation, which have been extremely hard, we have come to limit the derogations that were called by the member states, because the member states in crisis argue that they need extended timelines in order to meet the requirements of the general asylum system. When it comes to registration, when it comes to border procedure, we have worked real hard in order to limit the claim of member states to have derogations. And then, as a positive assessment in all of the crises, I would highlight the relevance of including search and rescue operation in a situation of crisis. That is particularly meant for the so-called frontline member states, those leaning on the Mediterranean, and Spain leaning not only to the Mediterranean but also to the Atlantic, which happens to be the most perilous and deadly route to the European Union. Search and rescue operations and crisis can be declared because of a regional or local level, so it doesn't need to be national. It's a certain region, let alone say the Canaries or the Aegean Islands or Pelagic Islands in Italy. That is also an assumption in order to call for especially effective solidarity response. And finally, ensuring fundamental rights of the applicants. That had been a point very strongly made by the European Parliament negotiating team, so that certain vulnerable situations, including minors, unaccompanied minors, and minors underage with family members, are to be granted a special consideration even when the derogations are implemented. And all it's to be taken care by a European relocation coordinator, which is a new institution, a new body in place, in order precisely to provide for help to reach out for the member states and make sure that solidarity responses are implemented. So the point I'm making is that should we have not come to this positive outcome in this negotiation, that would have been, in my view, a serious major blow to the European cause. But it didn't happen. What is happening is that we finally achieved it. And so we're sending a message that finally the European Union is to honour the mandate of Article 80 of the Treaty Functioning of the European Union, striking some kind of an acceptable, reasonable balance between shared responsibility and solidarity, binding solidarity, obligatory solidarity when it needed. Thank you.